The year is 1942 and the Germans are getting pushed back on the Eastern Front. This is mainly due to the Russian winter, but also because Russia has been mobilizing their army and ramping up their production during the war. Germany's attention would then turn south towards the Caucasus, which was an area that had a lot of oil and food which Germany needed in order for them to stay in the war and continue the fight and hopefully deprive the Soviets of those same resources and knock them out of the fight. There was also the concern of Allied supplies coming in through Iran and into the city of Stalingrad through the Volga River, which was supplying the Soviets with the resources that they needed to continue, and so Germany wanted to cut that off as much as possible. Their plan was to basically concentrate the bulk of their forces in the south while the Soviets were busy defending Moscow, and then advance into the Caucasus and take the key Soviet city of Stalingrad. When the Germans first advanced into the city, they expected relatively light Soviet resistance. However, the Soviets refused to surrender. Brutal urban combat commenced, with the Germans initially overwhelming the Soviets with their air superiority. However, the Germans had completely underestimated the ferocity of Soviet resistance, and overall, the Soviets managed to hang on to at least part of the city for most of the battle. The battle had basically turned the entire city into Southside Chicago, with constant burning buildings, death, no food, freezing temperatures, all that good stuff. Despite the Germans at one point controlling 98% of the entire city, the Soviets just simply refused to give up. This was mainly due to the strategic importance of Stalingrad, as well as the symbolic importance of owning the city, since the city bore the name of their leader. Snipers were also used during the battle, hiding in the war-torn ruins of the city, and basically they made every single soldier scared to go out in the open and expose themselves. The Soviets also managed to supply the city and keep it well equipped due to the fact that they controlled the Volga River, and they managed to get a significant amount of supplies and forces across the Volga to supply the city. Eventually, Red Army divisions from the north and the south of the city began to encircle it under the leadership of Georgy Zhukov. If the Soviets managed to encircle the entire city, the German armies within it would be entirely encircled and cut off from their supply line and would basically be forced to surrender. Instead of simply retreating the 6th German Army that was trapped in Stalingrad, Hitler insisted that they were to be supplied by air. These airlifts failed to bring nearly enough supplies that the soldiers needed, and on January 31st, 1943, the entire 6th German Army finally surrendered. This battle marked a major turning point in the war, as the Soviets, after winning, were on the constant offensive for the rest of the war.